We are less than 24 hours away from the statewide teacher rally in Raleigh. One person is in custody. Now we're looking at live pictures from the scene there. First responders confirmed 2 victims are dead, 4 others injured. That claim was dismissed unanimously by the Board of Elections, and Daryl Mills said that this is just one more instance of Buscemi making something out of nothing. He is in the parking lot right across from this road. See the Golden Corral sign? He's right in there. He was trying to get through to college, right?
Yes, trying to get some gas from our generator.
And you were saying your wife is going to be pretty upset.
Yeah. Yes, she is. She'll be all right.
What would you say to her if she's watching?
I'm trying to get home.
And you're sorry?
Yeah.
Breaking news out of the northern part of New Hanover County, where there's a major traffic backup after a crash involving a motorcycle and 2 vehicles. If I can give you some perspective here, this walkway below me, typically there is 15 feet of land before water's edge. The vehicles aren't here, but there's a lot left behind, and this is one of those things. This is a light pole. Had a lot of close calls, but this takes the cake. This was about a 75-foot tall tree. This 17-year-old tried to bypass metal detectors at this school. Right before we pulled up our camera, we got a strong gust of wind, but as you can see, we're right along the Cape Fear River. This year, the school expects more than 2,200 new freshmen to move in. 30 years ago, that number was much smaller. As soon as we came out here, completely different story than the last time we were outside. These huge gusts of winds coming by. Feels like another one is coming on. I'm leaning against this column when it starts blowing because it's pretty strong out here. We are protected with a covering here, and we've got some light in this building, but the entire city of Southport is without power. It is hard to imagine anyone inside this house surviving. Thankfully, though, the brother and sister who live here both made it out. But for the brother, Bill Sturman, firefighters pulled him from the flames just in the nick of time. This happened along Cowrie Street in New Hanover County. Now, full disclosure, I know Bill and his sister Tricia Sturman. They're my neighbors. And this is what I saw when I walked out of my front door on the morning of December 10th and recorded the video. Flames shooting through the roof and garage, the house fully engulfed. A terrifying sight, as no one knew if they would make it out alive. But it turns out, at this point, Bill was still inside the home and lived to tell me what happened. Just 3 simple breaths. That's what separated Bill Sturman from life and death.
I'm very lucky, obviously.
On the morning of December 10th, Bill was asleep in his bedroom above the garage, oblivious to the fire quickly erupting beneath him. His sister Tricia ran upstairs.
She's screaming, "Bill, wake up. You've got to wake up and get out of the house. The house is on fire."
Bill knew he needed to get out fast, but with limited mobility and his canes nowhere in sight, walking down the stairs was not an option, and using his stair lift out of the question. There was no time.
You're not going to walk into flames. I can't run through them because I can't run. So I just jumped into, I call it the abyss, because I didn't know what was there.
Unconscious on the floor at the base of the stairs, Bill's ribs broken and breathing slowed. But his knight in shining armor, or in this case, a helmet and turnout gear, was not far behind. Firefighter Clyde Prince came to Bill's rescue.
This is the first person that I've actually been able to pull out of fire and save. It's just about a once-in-a-career thing to be able to do that.
The two got the chance to reunite last week.
Yes, sir.
The man that found me. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Despite the hero and the seemingly happy ending to this story, this was no fairy tale. Bill has a long recovery ahead of him. His trachea was badly damaged. He spent 2.5 weeks in a coma as doctors in Chapel Hill worked to clear his lungs. One doctor later telling Bill if he had taken just 3 more breaths inside this house, he wouldn't have made it.
It was, so fast and so close. I mean, when things are measured in breaths and things are measured in like seconds, I don't know how to say it to you.
But this brush with death was not his first. Bill's life has been marred by one tragedy after another.
So you can see the side of my face. That's 7 major reconstructive surgeries.
Bill says after several car accidents, he suffered from debilitating neck and back injuries. He was told he'd never walk again. But time and time again, he overcame the odds.
People talk about the first accident being a miracle. You know, how can you walk after being completely paralyzed from the neck down? This is to me the miracle, and I never thought anything would top that.
Okay, that hurts. Really, that really hurts. Sorry. I love you.
You might think these two are too young to know about love.
He would walk on water for her.
But for 8-year-old David,
how do you know you love her?
It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of love.
My heart. His heart tells him.
And for his girlfriend, 7-year-old Ayla,
my heart knows, they know. Mine does too.
She knows what's coming, and she just wants him to be happy and wants him to smile as long as possible.
David has leukemia.
I have this button, and it flushes pain medicine in my body.
He's been living with cancer on and off since he was 2.
We label them by numbers, so we're on cancer number 4 as of March.
He was given just weeks to live. So that's what his parents decided to do. Let David live.
Just trying to hope that I don't die. That's what. Okay, stop it. Me with the banana.
She's definitely had an impact on his spirit, and haven't seen the sight of him in a long time.
They met their first day of 2nd grade, but it wasn't long until David had to stop going.
My legs started hurting. I couldn't stand anymore.
He couldn't walk, but that didn't keep him from seeing Ayla.
Where do you think he is? You gotta find him.
Last weekend, they had their first date. And once again, his will to overcome was stronger than the cancer.
He forced himself out. Not only did he stand up, he walked, he stood up and bowled, and she was there right beside him the whole time.
And the whole time today, she never left his side.
Really tired.
In the middle of our interview, David started to feel sick. He was taken to another room to lay down, and again, Ayla was right there.
Their story is definitely something that everyone could learn from, just to love, because that's what's important. At the end of every day, that is what's important. Who loves you and who you love back.
A love perhaps we should all wish for.
Tell the story.
Marissa Jasic, News Channel 3.
I would idolize him. That was my dad. I loved him more than anything in the world. And I looked exactly like him, so it was so funny because I would always tag along anywhere he wanted to go, I wanted to go as well.
But as a military child, Ashley DeLeon shared her father with the Marine Corps.
My father is very charismatic, and everybody that met him loved him.
And Master Sergeant Rosendo DeLeon loved his country. He served 22 years in the Corps. In their time apart,
the letters that he sent me when he was gone,
handwritten letters brought them together.
You'll always be my little princess. I'll always be here for you no matter what, and I'll always be your dad.
Her dad deployed 7 times to Iraq and Afghanistan.
He became less and less like himself every time.
Every time he left, Ashley wrote. Every time, more afraid he wouldn't come back.
But every day in the news, in the paper, everywhere you hear, 3 more Marines killed today by a roadside bomb, and I think, please God, please don't let it be my daddy.
Thankfully, it never was her father. But his invisible wounds, carved out by years of combat and losing Marines to war, would not heal.
He was having so much inner turmoil.
Diagnosed with PTSD and medically disabled, Ashley says her father retired in 2012. But his battle was far from over.
I mean, I didn't anticipate anything happening of this magnitude. I could smell like the gunpowder as soon as I went down the staircase. And he had his shotgun and he was just pacing like an animal. He was just shooting to shoot.
Christmas Eve 2014.
Breaking news now, we're getting details about what Jacksonville police are calling a shooting incident.
Jacksonville police say shots were fired this morning inside a residence.
No one was hurt, but for Ashley, it was her father's breaking point, a final cry for help.
They took him to the hospital for an evaluation, and they released him that day. He had given so much of himself to this country, and he was being rejected of the help that he needed.
She had nowhere to turn.
So I wrote to the one person that I thought could help us. Dear Mr. President.
In a 3-page letter, again, Ashley wrote to bring her father back.
The small girl who grew up waving the American flag at her daddy's homecomings yelled no from the bottom of her gut. I didn't care if I died, Mr. President. I'm 21 years old. And I would sacrifice myself without a second thought to save the man who raised me from taking his own life. Because when his country turned their back on him, I was still there.
Ashley wasn't alone.
This is as tough a letter as I've received since I've been president.
Penned on White House stationery, Ashley got an answer.
It's a little white note card, and on that was the president's response. I was astounded. I didn't think that he would even receive it. I didn't think he would read it. Ashley, I'm asking the VA to reach out to your family to provide any support that you need. And please know that beneath the pain, your father still loves his daughter and is surely proud of her. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
And the president wasn't done with Ashley's letter.
I think of the college student who recently wrote me a letter on Christmas Day.
He read an excerpt before signing the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act. The law extends VA care for discharged or released combat vets.
And she was writing, she said, to ask for help. Help her father find his way back.
And I don't know if he knew I was watching, but it gave me hope.
That hope was met with action. She says a VA representative did call.
Everything I felt like got a lot easier.
Her father finally got treatment.
She wrote, I knew that my dad was still in there somewhere.
He told me that I saved him.
Hi, Ashley. It's Mom and Dad. Just want to send you a quick video.
My biggest regret is thinking that I had time with him.
But we love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I guess subconsciously I knew that something really bad had happened.
It wasn't his illness that would kill him, but an accident. Rosendo was hit by an SUV riding his motorcycle in Jacksonville, just 5 months after her letter.
There's no way that he's gone on all these deployments and this is how he's going to pass away.
For Ashley, though, this isn't about her suffering.
Not for my family, Mr. President, she said. I'm asking you to help the others, other families like hers. And she said, don't forget about them. And that's really what today's about. Don't forget.
Because Ashley never forgot, her father was finally healing, a transformation that continued through his final days.
The day before his accident, he actually shaved his beard off. I think that was symbolic of him kind of going back to the man that he wasn't hiding behind this anymore.
Ashley's story of loss is now one of hope.
And if you are hurting, know this, you are not forgotten, you are not alone, you are never alone.
Hope that a simple letter could save a man she refused to let go.
I'll always be his little girl no matter how old I get.